All right. Hello, Professor Smith. We are Fortuna Will with Cameron Copeland, Matthew Nunnally, and Brendan Coral. You know that. So here we have is our market share. We have made only three brands of bikes so far, which are in recreation, speed, and mountain. Our recreational bike is Chillin' version 1. Our speed bike is Racer version 1. And our mountain bike is Azure version 1. We're now in market share, we're only third place leading with 17% of the entire market share. We can go next. All right. Reputation score. This is from quarter three. Our reputation score increased by 2 points from its original 59 to a total of 61. Being as it may, we're only basically fourth in our reputation score, but we are growing though. Next. Cash flow. In the beginning, our cash was $854,000 and 950. Net operation, we lost $232 and $232,000 and $232,674. Our investment activities was $485,000. Financing activities were $500,000, and our ending period of cash was $641,000, $641,916. Net Our net income in quarter two, we increased our net income from a negative 300 to negative 150,000, but we lost $100,000 due to that in quarter three. Next. All right. This here we have our sales for right now. Our net demand of what we wanted was 316 for Racer, 221 for Azure, and 212 and 217 for Chillin'. And the only sold so far was probably near half for all of them. So 176 from Racer, 123 from Azure, and 121 from Chillin'. And we did, and even though it was close, I wouldn't say not close to half or basically over half, we lost sales due to stock out. Next. All right. Our brethren so far we are number one in the recreational bike game, number one in speed bike, and number three in mountain bike. We are beating our competitors, which is Gear Z and Tat Bikes. Next.
All right, so for our generic strategy quadrant, um, it was weird trying to fit us into one, but if we had to pick, the best cost provider hybrid approach is probably the one that is best suited for us. I say this because in each quarter we've added rebates, which would lower the price, and then generally just lower the base price down by each quarter. So we're lowering our costs to be somewhere around our rivals, and by offer um and then the differentiation part, we're trying to not focus on like what competitive bikes are, because it it's it don't give us, like, it doesn't help us stand out, so we differentiate by like trying to focus into R&D and try to see like what can we add to our bike that would make it better, and while charging lower or similar prices to our uh competitors.
Our two driving forces, technology. Technology is going to be one of our driving forces. Because as we improve our technology, we'll be able to create bikes to more suit our customers' needs, and that ties in with our other driving force being our customers. That's just most important because our bikes that we've made have been tailored to their top eight wants and needs, and that has allowed us to become the number one and two of our categories. Our key success factors are our distribution to the market in New York. It's the best in the market of the three categories. As I once said, we hold two of the number one spots for brand ratings. And we're working on treating our employees fairly with low overtime and fair compensation.
Right. Now, as I mentioned before, we have major competition. Being our number one is Gear Z. They are the top bike selling company so far, leading with 40% of the market. They're also number one in market demand for each brand of the bikes that we're doing. And there are major competition in New York City, being our only location is in New York City. And they have lower prices than us, thus them selling more bikes than us. Our second competition will be TAD because they're our second bike selling company ahead of us in our market share by 2%, and second in market demand, while we're third for the time being.
All right, so this is our SWOT analysis. So starting off with strength, um, we have the highest brand judgment in speed and recreation categories, and from quarter two and our in this current quarter, which is quarter three, we'll score 77. Our next strength is that we're slowly building a good reputation. So in quarter two, our reputation score was about a 59, which was one of the lowest. In quarter three, we've moved up to 61, which is still not the best, but it shows improvement that we're providing that we're doing something right and that we're moving forward. A couple of our weaknesses is that from in quarter two and three, we've sold bikes, but due to like our how we have our manufacturing set up, we've lost a lot in sales, and that could have been the difference uh in terms of market growth. We could be in a much better position if we had those problems hammered out during those two quarters. Another weakness is that our added judgment score is low. Um, we we only pop up as acceptable in one category. The other two, we just don't even show up. So it's something that we need to work on in future quarters. Opportunities. So one of our rivals, we have a chance to surpass Tad in market share. They're only uh they're only ahead of us by 2% in the market. So if we depending on how quarter four and five go, I really feel like we have a chance to be the second market leader in our industry. Another opportunity is that we can now invest in R&D, which we can add to our current bikes and make them better than what they are now, which can bring in more sales. Lastly, our threats. So if we're unable to hammer out that manufacturing problem, we can see a slowdown and loss in market growth due to the fact that customers generally don't like to hear that that a business is out of stock. So by having this problem continue, they'll just go to one of our rival stores and just get a bike from them, and we rather them come to us than to go somewhere else. And lastly, our ads aren't fitting the union requirements. So it just shows up that we're not in believe the mountain in speed, even though the bikes are made for those and that the bikes do sell, our ads just not matching that segment requirements.
All right. So basically, what I've learned, our top two concern our is mostly like our brands. What we received from a report from the customer union, none of our brands have meet the requirements for basically our mountain bikes, and the customer union has not recommended any of our brands for these customers, which has negatively impacted our demand for these bikes. And also, we've also gotten a private report from our International Advertising Federation, and none of our ads have meet the minimum requirements for our bikes as well, which is mountain and speed. And we're number one in mountain and speed bikes. So this has very hurt us a lot in our demand as well.
All right, so for these last couple of slides are going to run over what the idea is for the next 3 quarters. So for far as marketing, uh, we just one of the things we want to do is raise our review score. So earlier I had talked about how we don't show up for 2 categories. So we have we're poor in mountain category and the speed category, and we're only acceptable in the recreation. This is something we gotta fix if we want to stay competitive in the future quarters. Another thing is so I noticed that we're lacking in the social media aspect of the game, and especially the SEM. It's just something that we just haven't looked into, and it for the next 3 quarters, it's just something that we're just gonna just pay attention to and make sure we have that taken care of, so we can stay competitive. Um, R&D plans for the next 3 quarters. We so we're gonna heavily look at R&D and try to have things done between quarter 5 and 6. The best plan is to start improving our least selling bike, which would be our, as of now it was the Chillin V2 with only 121 units sold. So here on the screen are like our what we're looking into in order to better that bike and see if we
All
can
right, see you
increase
later.
the sales of
See.
that bike. Um, and then with this strategy, just working on our least selling bike to our second least selling bike to our best performing bike in R&D. Over time, we hope to see that these changes, these new features that we looked into would not only best fit our customers, but to help us further stand out from competition and to help lead to market growth. Our sales channel plans for the next 3 quarters and quarter 5. One of the ideas that has came up is that we might open our third store in Rio de sorry, in Rio, and that because in Rio, uh, two categories that we need to improve in are the two top selling categories in that market. So maybe if we the thought process is that if we open a store in Rio, the mountain and reg bike that don't perform as well as our speed bike could help we can help push them and get more sales in those segments. Um, our last big plan in for sales channel in Q5 is to have at least 10 sales and service people in both our New York and Amsterdam stores. At this point, we want to try to push out as many bikes as possible. So having a lot of staff in our stores it's a good way to do that. And sales channels plan as of right now in Q6 is the when we get our Rio store open, just to go ahead and add 10 sales and service people for that location. 10 is not a set number. It can very well increase and decrease. It just depends on what happens in these last couple of quarters. And then this is our human resources aspect for the next 3 quarters. Um, so our plan for that is just to continue upgrade compensation for our production and sales staff. So like raising salary, upgrading their plans, and then decrease overtime, and hopefully with that they're with that they're happy, so that can help us sell bikes.
At the end of the thing.
uh uh Manufacturing for the next 3 quarters.
Oh,
We
oh,
need
that's
more.
me. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. My
okay.
bad.
No, you good.
I'm gonna say because I was on the road. For the manufacturing for the next 3 quarters, I suggest that we need more employees for manufacturing of bikes so we don't lose sales to stockouts. And even though this might be harsh, I suggest we need to do like less overtime hours. Instead of making it like 2, we should make it like I'm going to guess I'm going to say either 1 or 1.5 hours or 1.5 hours to increase production productivity. Because what I know so far, our overtime hours and what we're paying them, we're losing we're losing less production.
All right, so for the financial request, we're only asking for 1 million. So this would help cover our loss in Q3, as well as help fund our R&D and marketing plans for the next 3 quarters. And with that, we just like to thank you for taking the time to listen to hear what we have to say. Anything y'all want to say before we stop the recording?
Nothing I could think of. Matthew?
Yeah, I'm good.
Mhm. All
All
right.
right. Thank you for listening. Hope you feel better. Uh, and yeah.
Mhm.